Tune in for the latest updates.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
What's up, everybody? I'm back here again with our show. We've got Tuesdays with Wayne back. So before we start, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you follow the 49ers Red Zone podcast. Wayne, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. It was a lot of good news coming out of 49ers camp.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then this bomb just dropped on us. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I'm ready to chop it up because I don't know, man. I don't know if I trust the thing that comes out of this guy's mouth at this point. When it comes to 49,
it's crazy. Like a year ago, or even a couple of months ago, we wouldn't have been saying that Schefter's the guy. But yeah. But I mean, it's crazy because just literally 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, when I was creating the today's podcast, I was thinking, who's making the 53 man? But new news hits, so you know what we have to start with. Deebo Samuel doesn't want a deal done. What are your thoughts?
I mean, does that even make any sense?
I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about it, right? Because
go for it.
Obviously, he wants a deal done. The question is, does he want a deal done with the 49ers? That's where Adam Schefter is coming up with. So for those that are just tuning in, shout out to Cinnamon Kids, 49ers Lakers for Life. Adam Schefter on ESPN was asked a question about Deebo Samuel, and he came out and he basically said that the 49ers are looking to get a deal done with Deebo Samuel, but Deebo Samuel is the one that's kind of like holding out or doing whatever, right? And so he's trying to flip this on Deebo, basically.
Right.
And it's a possibility that maybe the deal that the 49ers are offering, bro, isn't the deal that Deebo wants.
It could be the case. Could be the case. And I mean, when we look at it, right, if Deebo Samuel doesn't want a deal done, that doesn't mean Deebo Samuel doesn't necessarily want a deal done with the 49ers. Let me break that down for you guys. So obviously we just saw one of the biggest, no, not one of the biggest, the biggest NFL deal in history for a cornerback coming out of Cleveland with Denzel Ward. 5 years, close to 100 million, 71.25 million guaranteed are the numbers to my knowledge. But what does that mean? Well, first of all, who's the agent that negotiated the deal? That was Tory Dandy, Deebo Samuel's agent, DK Metcalf's agent, Terry McLaurin's agent, and AJ Brown's agent. Now, why is this such a big revelation? Of course, when the cornerback market moves like this, you expect people to continue eclipsing other people. However, who was the biggest cornerback on the market this offseason? J.C. Jackson, who didn't get nearly the magnitude of this deal. He got a 5-year, $82.5 million deal, which wasn't even the top cornerback deal on the market. It didn't eclipse Jalen Ramsey's deal. And you expect with the market to increase, with inflation to be accounted for, that J.C. Jackson's deal would have hit. So us personally, I mean, I thought that the cornerback market wasn't necessarily as strong as it would have been or as it could have been. However, this Tory Danny deal with Denzel Ward disproves that, and it shows that teams are still willing to pay for money, and players, regardless of how the market is going, are still looking for that top tier money. At least that's what's shown in the Denzel Ward deal. So when you look at it, Deebo Samuel kind of probably is thinking methodically, and rightfully so. He's got to provide for his family, and so he might just wait for one of these other dominoes to fall. Because when you look at it, when one domino falls, that means that his contract is going to get higher and higher and higher in terms of guaranteed money, right? Let's say a guy like Terry McLaurin sets the market, right, at maybe 65 million guaranteed. Deebo Samuel immediately uses that as a benchmark, and his deal gets expensive and expensive. And so San Francisco, they're playing it smart, in my opinion. If you're trying to get a deal done right now, that is what I believe you should do. However, it's not up to them. It's got to be two sides at the table. It doesn't seem like both sides are at the table, at least to negotiate right now. Only San Francisco is.
I agree. And that's the issue. The issue is that both sides are so far away from this deal. I mean, apparently, the 49ers probably do have numbers in mind that they want to pay Deebo Samuel. And you're right.
Right.
It makes sense. I thought it would have made sense months ago to get this done, but clearly Deebo probably wouldn't have been waiting. And they probably could have slid it in. Like, I'm not sure when Deebo signed with this agency, his new agent or whatever, but all I know is the agent is taking care of his client and he's doing a damn good job at it, right? And
Definitely.
the fact that he's representing these other guys, this is not Deebo will be the last man to get paid. It's probably going to go Metcalf. No, it's probably going to go Metcalf, Brown, then Deebo. Like after McLaurin gets his deal. You got to look at those four guys. And don't forget, Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh is probably going to be looking at they were all in the same draft. All these guys were in the same draft. And the fact that Denzel Ward, if you're going to pay a cornerback that top money with that guaranteed money, you better pay the wide receiver. You better find a way to pay the wide receiver. So for the 49ers, I think he's right about that. They are looking to get the deal done. But when it comes to Deebo Samuel, I don't think it's that he's working his way. You know, the thing is he pushing his way out of San Francisco? No. He's just telling San Francisco to up the daggone ante. You need me. I need you. Let's go. That's what it is.
Right. And I mean, even if the numbers are nice for Deebo Samuel, like really at this point, like a lot of people, like I'll say two things. First, at this point for Deebo Samuel, even if the numbers are what he might want, there really, like Ed here says, there really is no incentive for him to sign first. He's not at any, like, it's not like he needs upfront money today instead of in 2 months. It's not like he's at any rush, right, to sign. He knows that he's putting in the work, that he'll be totally fine come training camp. And I'm sure he has the rapport with Lance already. I know a lot of people are criticizing him. I don't think that's right. Deebo Samuel generally trains in Miami. And while Deebo Samuel isn't training in OTAs in the beginning of the offseason program for the first time, I do think that a player of his caliber is totally fine to train in Miami. So I don't view that as big of a deal. But he really doesn't have an incentive to sign right now. And so the funny thing that I have is a lot of people are going to be going to the 49ers organization and blaming Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch when they are doing the smartest thing for their business right now, which is trying to get to the table right now. What have the 49ers done in the past 2 seasons? The few seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the tight end market in 2020, they beat guys like Travis Kelce. They beat the other top tight ends on the market like Darren Waller with George Kittle's deal, got him a 5-year, $75 million deal, right? That's what they did. They beat other teams in the market, tried to sign him early. Last year, when we are before the 2021 season, who was the guy? Fred Warner. Warner they had to beat out Darius Leonard because both of those guys were looking to make the top money for an interior linebacker. Darius Leonard was the second deal. Fred Warner was the first deal. They got him on a 5-year, $95 million deal. Darius Leonard got 5 years, $101.25 million. So there is the disparity, and the 49ers have done it. At least their track record indicates that they've gotten to these deals earlier than other teams, despite them going close to training camp to get these deals done. So yeah, there is an urgency for the 49ers, and for them to be like this urgent at this moment, I do think that that's a good sign by the front office. I don't necessarily think they deserve any of the blame right here, but it is like smart on Deebo Samuel's part for him to resist a bit right now. I don't think this means that he's gone with the 49ers, definitely not, but he's the one with the leverage kind of currently because the 49ers have to decide, do we want to move him by the draft? And if he's making it hard by the draft, you might have to move him because you don't know if you can sign him to an extension. Or it's not like you don't know if you can sign him to an extension because he's got that 4-year deal. But at a point where we thought the 49ers had all the leverage in the negotiations because of the 1 year of team control, Deebo Samuel has regained at least some of the leverage in this situation.
You think so? I don't think he has. I don't think he has. I feel like
talk me through that.
There's a difference between leverage and control. I think, in my opinion, I think Deebo.
Okay, maybe it's control. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
And so I think he's controlling the narrative. Okay, he's taking back a little bit of control of the narrative. I think the 49ers still have all the leverage because at the end of the day, the 49ers can do what they want with Deebo Samuel. They own his rights, so they can trade him. They can do whatever they want. And then next thing you know, Deebo go to a team and he may not even be as great with a different team. Not saying that to downplay who Deebo Samuel is. I'm just saying things happen when they leave the San Francisco 49ers and players sort of diminish just a little bit. I think Deebo is different than those players. And I'm saying that to say this. You said that it's not the 49ers' fault. You won't put blame on them. I disagree 100%. Okay. The 49ers need to sit down and get that money together and make this kid that guy. That's it. That's all they got to do. They can easily nullify all the bull crap that's going on right now. You can make Deebo Samuel paid. And who cares if you did it for this guy, you're going to have to do it. Who cares? We shouldn't care about that. At the end of the day, we want the best wide receiver that fits this team. We want him on this team. Why? Because you got a second-year quarterback that's going out there, and all you're saying is you're putting him out there with an unproven Brandon Ayuk. He's a proven Deebo. You need to put him back out there, just like George Kittle was proven and he got his deal. Okay?
Yeah.
George Kittle had one great season and then regular seasons, and he got his deal. And yes, they made him the highest paid tight end for one day. They made Fred Warner the highest paid tight end for a few hours. They did. They won't be able to do that with Deebo. I think Deebo is going to demand more money than DK Metcalf and AJ Brown. Why? Because he's gotten his team further than everybody else.
Okay, that's a fair argument.
I don't care if they put up better stats. That doesn't matter. None of that matters. It matters where you got your team to. Deebo's a more intricate piece to his team, and he's better for, he's going to demand that. And the fact that they're managed by the same agency, he's about to get paid. Bump Deebo. The agent's about to get guap. I need to work for him. Can I hold your papers, sir? Or do what you need me to do, man.
I'll get you your coffee. I'll get you your coffee.
I'll get copies. Heck yeah. He's about to get paid because he's got 4 guys that he's looking to get, 5 guys, if I'm not mistaken, that he's looking to get paid at the same time. That's the key, bro. I'm telling you.
It's a fair argument for sure. And I'll have 2 pushbacks to that. For the part that Deebo has no leverage, I do think it's not necessarily leverage. You're right. I misspoke. It's control. But the reason that I think that he's somewhat forcing the 49ers' hand, whereas if you have no control, you can't do that, is the time frame, right? The 49ers have to realize right now that they have to, at least to compete in 2022, what is the best situation? Because there is the potential case. I don't think Deebo holds out. Let me be honest.
Well, he can't. Financially,
just because of the financials, because you lose the year of team. It's not like you're holding out and you end free agency next year. No, you have to go back on that year. So I don't think he holds out. I do think the 49ers hold about 95% of the leverage, but Deebo is forcing their hand a bit because of the time frame, right? It's only 9 days before the NFL draft, right? And so the 49ers really have to start really picking things up in a way. But if they're the ones at the table, I personally, I don't see how you can blame them, because even if Deebo Samuel wants a certain amount of money and the 49ers are willing to pay that, I don't think he signs that deal, just because why would he sign it when he knows he can get more money once that other deal comes first?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The 49ers could be willing right now to pay $75 million in guaranteed money. And if I'm Deebo Samuel at this moment, I don't know if I pay that, just because of how rising the 49ers I don't know if I signed that, just because I know how rising the wide receiver market is, right? If one of those receivers gets $70 million, that sends a bigger precedent that you deserve that $75 million, right? And so if you wait a bit, knowing that these other deals, especially with the agent that Tory Danny is so far, if you wait a bit, I do think that he can get more money than he currently can get, which is why I think the 49ers are trying to get that deal done right now. Because it is a mix of financials. It also is a mix of getting the player what he deserves. I'm of the belief that Deebo Samuel should get extended. I've written a couple of articles on it. I do think that Deebo Samuel should get extended for the sole purpose of what you said. You've got a rookie quarterback going into his second year. He hasn't played much. And guess what? You have the luxury, if you sign him this year, you have the luxury of matching his contract, Deebo Samuel's, with Trey Lance's rookie deal. For the next 3 years of Trey Lance's rookie deal, you can have Deebo on his max deal, which is the entire purpose of having a quarterback on his rookie deal.
Thank you.
The purpose is that you can have other maximum leverage contracts or maximum level contracts, so that you can go and win a Super Bowl, right? Because if you trade Deebo Samuel this year, I think that window of winning significantly decreases, right?
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much. I don't care who you bring onto this team. It's
exactly
a different.
You can't exactly that kind of process. And the thing is, when you have Deebo Samuel, right? When you have Deebo Samuel off this roster, what is that doing? That is wasting another year of Trey Lance's rookie contract. And as I've said a couple of times on my podcast, what is the precedent for rookie contracts right now over the last 5 years? Super Bowls. on the last 5 years, every Super Bowl has had one team with a player on their rookie contract. I think that that's very important, and that's why you have to maximize this window, which is why if you pair Deebo Samuel's contract with that 3-year out clause with Trey Lance's rookie deal, you're not even hurting yourself that much financially. You're setting yourselves up well for the next 3 years, but you also have flexibility going into the future. Because if Deebo Samuel gets too injured or some issue happens over the next 3 years, you come out of that deal, you have one more year of team control for Trey Lance on that 5th-year option, and you have I'd assume you have a better quarterback in year 5 than year 2, where you can really put your chips together as well. However, in the likelihood that Deebo Samuel does play well, you have that full 5 years of team control where you can have him on a deal that really reaches in throughout the entirety of his prime.
Well said. Well said. I still think Deebo's going to be a 49er. I just think they've just.
I personally, I
think they're both playing hard.
I don't know if it's bias or something, but I do personally believe that. You have two sides that play hard to get. There has to be some form of middle ground, right? Because of the relationship. I know we treat it as a business, and we treat it as it's a lot of we're with the players or we're with the team kind of arguments. But the reality is this is a lifestyle, right? Deebo Samuel, it's not like that relationship with Kyle Shanahan just disappeared in thin air over one day, right? It's not like any of that happened. And even with this impasse with the 49ers, he has relationships with a majority of the team and a majority of the new coming team, right? He's got his relationships with the wide receiver room. I'm sure he had an input in a way with the hiring of Leonard Hankerson to be promoted to wide receiver coach. He has a good relationship with Kyle Shanahan, who Kyle Shanahan continuously is spoken about in the media. So I do believe that there's the relationship portion of this, which is why I believe that Deebo Samuel should get signed. But Paul here has got a great question. What happens first?
So on my IG live, so I'm not sure if you were watching this. So on my IG live, my man Red Eye, he jumped on the joint, right? And so he jumped on, and I thought he was at the store shopping. You feel me? And so he was at Lids, and so he was like, I was like, dude, what you getting from Lids? I was like, you know what I'm saying? Do they got any 49er stuff in there? He was like, do we? And then he told me he worked there. And so I saw this camo hat. I was like, oh, I need that joint. I don't have that one. I was like, bag that up, send it to me. He's like, I got you. But then what he did, bro, was he went through all other 40 hats. They had 40 hats. I was like, I need that hat, that hat, that hat, that hat, that hat, and that hat. Yo, at the end of the day, I probably almost spent about $600. So I had to, take some hats out the cart. But he's sending me my hats. So my hats are on the way. So that's why Paul is saying, will Deebo get signed first or will Breezie get his hats? And that's where he's coming from. Shout out to my man, Paul, man.
One question I want to ask you, and I think that's somewhat of an important question. The new news from Adam Schefter puts Deebo Samuel in a bad light, which means his camp is likely not the ones that broke the news to ESPN that he's not even willing to come to the negotiating table.
Yeah.
Because, it puts the 49ers in a good light. Do you think the 49ers or someone in that brass kind of leaked that news?
Now we're talking. Now we're having a conversation. Now we're sitting at the big boy table. We about to eat the Last Supper because I'm telling you right now, somebody in that camp leaked that stuff for Adam Schefter to get back on the good side of somebody in that camp. I'm telling you right now, because I guarantee you, this is why I said I don't think Deebo has the leverage. I think the 49ers are trying their best to control the narrative. You know why? Right. Because the draft is next week. And what are they going to try to do? If this doesn't get, fixed, if this situation isn't over, the phone's ringing for Deebo Samuel. Let's just keep it buck. There are teams out there that has money, right? We don't, but there are teams out there that have money. And they're going to sit there and say, hey, man, I'll give you a first-round pick for Deebo. And then John's probably going to say, well, which pick you talking about, sir? Even though he already knows the pick. So it's going to have to be between the Jacksonville Jaguars or whoever drafts 10th. I don't think Deebo goes higher past the 10th pick in the first round.
And that's interesting, right? Because obviously when we look at what the wide receiver trades have happened, it's only late first-round picks. And obviously I'm not saying that Deebo Samuel gets traded. But the other thing, I think Brian, he brings it up here. This is front office leaking to make Deebo look bad. I don't necessarily think it's maybe from the main brass of 49ers, right? We've seen that leaks have happened. And we don't necessarily see leaks, right, from this camp. So when leaks happen, they happen in a way that you don't necessarily know where it's coming from, because
Mhm.
I don't think this is Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch per
No, no,
se,
no,
but
no,
it
no,
could
no.
be, it's someone from that camp. And really, to me, this is hypothetical speaking in a way, and I don't necessarily like to speak in it. But what I'm saying here is, when you make Deebo look in this way, where he's not even willing to come to the negotiating table, you don't necessarily think this is a case about the 49ers. You think this is a case about him wanting to wait for the wide receivers. And when is the time to trade Deebo Samuel? It's in 9 days. And I don't
That's
think
it.
any resolution is going to happen in 9 days where Deebo Samuel is going to magically come back to the negotiating table, because there's not going to be a wide receiver deal done, at least in my opinion, over the next 9 days. And
It's not
so,
looking right.
how are teams
It's
going to
not looking good, bro. It's not
yeah, and
looking good.
how are teams going to trade for a player like Deebo Samuel with this news when he's not even willing to come to the negotiating table? Because obviously you do trades with a extension in place. And I don't think necessarily right now, if Deebo Samuel isn't coming to the negotiating table, like, I don't necessarily think it has to do anything with the 49ers, but more the receiver market. If Deebo Samuel isn't coming to the negotiating table right now, I don't think that necessarily changes in 9 days, which means it's kind of looking at a way where I can see the good and the bad, right? I think this is an indication that the 49ers kind of want to keep Deebo Samuel in a way, and that, like, and that they're not really looking to trade him. Whereas if Deebo's trying to force a trade by this, like, this puts him in a bad light also with other teams. Well, what are your thoughts?
I like your take. I like your take. I don't think that this information that's being pushed out there is to make Deebo look bad. It's more to make the 49ers save face
Mm-hmm,
and make
mm-hmm,
them look good. I don't think this
yeah.
is a situation where it's trying to make Deebo look bad. And
Mm-hmm,
notice what they did say, though, what Adam Schefter did say is that Deebo is not willing to, sign the deal. Basically, like, we can sum it up. He's saying Deebo is not willing to make the deal, but the 49ers are. I don't
right.
think this is making Deebo look bad in a sense, but he's saying he's not willing to make the deal with the 49ers. And so I think if there's a team out there that wants Deebo Samuel, I think the 49ers are trying to do the same thing they do for every player that they're about to kind of walk away from. They find ways to make them better than what they are, boost their value however they can. We already know the stuff that Deebo, the antics that he pulled in the offseason, takes his stuff down from San Francisco, blah, 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 whatever. We all know that stuff, right? We all said, oh,
Right.
it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. But now, on the contrary, it just may. And maybe the 49ers are trying again to take control over that situation and say, hey, look, we came to the table with this, and he ain't willing to sign. The thing is, we don't know what that is. And I like what you said, because your take is it could have been 5 years, 75 million. What if Deebo doesn't want a 5 year, 75? I'm not sure if that's what you said, but what if that's not what he wants? What if he wants a 3 year, 75 million? Let's talk for real, fully guaranteed. It's 25 million a year. Right? What if that's what he wants? What if he wants a shorter contract so he can have more control and get more money on the next contract? See, there's so many different things that can be worked from this Deebo situation. And we just don't know all the variables. We just know what they're throwing at us. And so now we have to kind of make up stuff and try to think, we hypothesize on what we think is going on. And I don't think Deebo looks bad. I just think the 49ers are starting to look a little bit better. They're looking like the nice guys, you know what I'm saying? And Deebo Samuel is just looking like a guy who's just going to wait. But your point is dope, because you said it at the beginning of the show. He's being represented by his agent, who also represents DK Metcalf and AJ Brown. They're the only people I care about. I know he represented Denzel Ward as well, or whatever like that, from and out of Cleveland, but who cares? Right. He's representing two other wide receivers. So 3 of the top wide receivers from that rookie class are about to get paid. Okay? The fact that you said Deebo is probably going to just wait. Hey, AJ, you know what? Whoever gets the deal first, let me see what and they all, you know what's crazy, bro? What if they're all doing the same thing?
Right.
What if AJ Brown is like, well, how much they trying to give you? This? Nah, son, don't sign that. How much they trying to give you? This? Nah, don't sign that. And when the number gets to the fat pool for all 3 wide receivers, even DK, because they're all going to get paid. I think that the Seahawks try to trade DK. That's a whole nother conversation, but that's just what I think. But AJ Brown will be a Titan. Deebo Samuel will be a 49er, unless the 49ers, unless someone makes them an offer that they cannot refuse. And there's only one team, maybe 2,
It's only the teams with multiple first-round picks, like something like that. And I mean, I understand there's no way in heck a team is going to trade that much for a receiver, which is why I don't believe he's getting traded. Me personally, like even if Deebo Samuel doesn't want to, like even if it doesn't seem like you extend Deebo Samuel, like I'm not a fan of extending Deebo Samuel next year, but I'll tell you these three scenarios and I'll tell you how I would rank them.
Okay.
Obviously, number one is extending Deebo Samuel. I think that should be the best alternative for your next 3 years. If you're trying to see how to best compete for a Super Bowl, I think that is with Deebo Samuel on the roster for for the foreseeable future. So I would extend Deebo Samuel if I had the choice. Number two would not be to trade Deebo Samuel nor extend him if we can't reach an extension. It would be to keep him on his 4 point whatever million for this year and then franchise tag him next year. I would not extend Deebo Samuel if I had the choice next year because he's going into his age 28 season, which to me is somewhat it depends on what he has next season. If he absolutely if he replicates this year of production, then maybe we consider it. But at that point, I feel like you franchise tag him and then you play him another year on that franchise tag in a way, at least from a business perspective. From Deebo Samuel's perspective, I wouldn't allow that. And so for me, I think this next year is very important. And I think this is the best time for you to go for a Super Bowl, given how other teams have somewhat fallen off. So I would keep Deebo Samuel on the roster. And then a last alternative would be to trade him. I would not trade Deebo Samuel if I had the choice.
I see you got a super chat contribution.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to pull that up because he says slap the tag on him. There's no way in the world that tag is only $12.4 million.
No, it's around 20 million. I think it's around 18, 19, 20 million.
Yeah, I think it's closer to 20.
And it's the one thing to keep in mind
is going to go up.
Franchise tag is going to go up next year because of the amount of receiver deals. Franchise tags aren't actually a set price. They change every year. They're based on the average for wide receivers. So that's where the franchise tag number is going to go up. I don't believe it is 12.4 million. To my belief, I think it is a lot higher.
I thought it was close to 20
million. Yeah, I believe it's 18 to 20. But I'll search that up while you talk. But I believe it's 18 to 20.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring that up because you said you would franchise tag Deebo, and that could be a situation, but that might not work too well, and then you might have to end up franchise tagging him and then trade him.
What I meant like that is what I meant by my point there. I'm not saying that I'd like to franchise tag him by
no, that's an option.
I'm just saying I'd prefer to keep him on this year, on his deal this year if we can extend him, opposed to trading him. Because I don't think there's a resolution. I don't think there's a value in like rushing for a trade over the next 9 days without having the chance to boil. Like extension talks take a while. I think it'll take it'll take a couple of months. It'll take the next 2 months. So why waste or why not even go through the process of trying to extend him and just send him out the door immediately over these next 9 days during the draft and get players that while you won't be able to replicate the production. And even if it takes a year or two to accumulate, right, that's wasting Trey Lance's rookie contract, which is the most important time for you to go and get a Super Bowl.
I think that's a great scenario, bro. But like, if I'm Deebo, I'm not feeling that.
Definitely.
And so that's the issue. The issue is, what can John and Kyle say to Deebo Samuel to say, listen, man, we need you here. We need you here. Not that we want you here. We need you to be a part of this team. What can we do? Look, this is our situation. This is what it is financially. Can you do this? Can you do this? And we can do this down the line. Listen, this goes up. The cap is going to go up next year. We got to look. We can 5th-year option Nick Bosa at that $18.9 million tag number or whatever. And so now we can have some money. Jimmy will be off the books. Can we kind of do something for you in a little bit? And so that's they're gonna have to figure out how to wine and dine.
It's not a good look. Definitely not a good look for your franchise.
It's tough,
right?
Bro.
It definitely isn't. So I mean, that's obviously like if you franchise tag Deebo Samuel, I think a trade is imminent in that case next year. And by the way, Jose, let me clear up. I'm not saying we're franchising him this year. Deebo Samuel is under contract this year for $4.3 million. His fourth year. It's actually next year that we're talking about. Where because he does not have a 5th-year option, he becomes a free agent after next season, and the 49ers can choose to franchise tag him.
They can choose to franchise tag him. Yep.
But Jeffrey, if he holds out this year, so Deebo Samuel isn't going to hold out. It's not the best. It's not in his best interest to hold out this year. I don't think that holdouts can be threatened anymore by the new CBA rules because they actually fine you. And like, so if you miss training camp, I believe it's like a $50,000 fine for a certain number of days. And so, yeah, he won't hold out in a way, but I don't think that you can really, as a franchise, operate with the fact that you're like not paying a player like he's supposed to. Because by the way, this extension is not going to hit this year. This extension is only going to hit in 2022 is this year. This extension is only going to start in 23, by the way.
Correct.
At least to my belief.
It won't start
Unless they find a way to maneuver it where his cap hit gets lowered this year and then his cap hit astronomically increases over the next 3 seasons. I don't believe the extension will kick in this year unless they choose to.
Correct.
But I mean, yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation. The franchise tag, by the way, is 18.9 million for wide receivers, not the 12.4. And that definitely will increase next year because the cap is going to increase and the wide receiver compensation this year for receivers has increased. Obviously.
Just look at the top 5 guys, man. Average them suckers out, and that's what the cap is going to be. I remember they did this to another wide receiver for the Bears, Allen Robinson. He must have got franchise tagged at least two seasons in a row. And you would have thought that he wouldn't have paid, but because the salary was so high for that 1 year, he took it. You know what I'm saying? And Deebo can be in that situation to where he's just going to bet on himself every year, become a free agent. I don't know. But like you said, Deebo's getting a little bit older. I think he's going to look for a lesser year deal, right? It's not like they signed George Kittle to a 5-year deal. I thought that was I didn't think he was going to get 5 years. But look what the 49ers do with their contracts.
They do the 3-year out.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And so if Deebo gets that, it's going to be a 5-year deal, 3-year out for the 49ers. Remember, the 49ers always have to have the upper hand and the contract. And the reason why the players don't matter, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why they don't matter is because they get their guaranteed money in those first 3 years.
So the 49ers structure contracts by guaranteeing everything in the first 3 years. So they're not liable in the 4th and 5th year, which just means one of two things. If the player isn't working out, you move on from them, or you restructure them and lower the cap hit or something. But likely, if the player isn't working out, you move on from them. If the player is working out, you extend them. Those are the 2 ways, because then obviously after that 3rd year, if a player is doing really good, what are they going to want? They're going to want guaranteed money, right? There's not really a way they're going to give up 27 million by any chance, because if you get let's say you're getting paid 27 million, but don't have any guaranteed money. Hence, Jimmy Garoppolo is getting paid 27, only has 1.4 million. If you were playing really well, why would you willingly choose to lose that 27.5 million, right? You want financial security. So the 49ers, what they do is, they guarantee money within the first 3 years of their deals. You'll see it. And sometimes it's not even that much over the first 3 years. Obviously, we haven't seen them give out much guaranteed money to many players, right? Their signing bonuses are normally very low so that they don't have to be liable in the 4th and 5th year. But one thing I want to ask you, Wayne, let's just talk for a little bit about this contract kind of way, because I know the 49ers, what are they famous for, especially Parag, putting language into these contracts. The 3-year out is the biggest part of that language. Do you think Deebo Samuel would want that 3-year out in his contract? Do you think that is a holding point in that deal? Because it's obviously team friendly. I mean, it can be receiver friendly to get an extension later on. But given his age and everything, do you think Deebo Samuel wants that pure 5-year deal, which the 49ers don't offer to players normally? Or do you think he'd prefer that 3-year out clause?
That's a good question. If I'm Deebo, I would prefer the 3-year out clause, right? Because all I care about is my guaranteed money up front, right? So what am I going to get? If I'm going to get what I want in those first 3 years, I'm good. And then you can go and you can either extend me if I'm continuing to do well, or I could become a free agent. And a lot of people want to become free agents. They want their rights to be free, and they want to go out there and search the market because they bet a little bit more on themselves. They put a little extra juju on things. And, what is he, 27?
He's 26 right now, or 26? This is his age. I misspoke earlier. This is his age 26 season.
So you figure in 3 years,
right now,
29, right? Yeah. So that's good. So at 30, right, 29 and 30, guess what Deebo can get? A 5-year contract, okay? Where look at Devontae Adams, look at Tyreek Hill, look at the pattern that's going on with these players. And I think that's the pattern he would follow. I think he's okay with that. I think what Deebo is looking for right now is what's going to be guaranteed You know what I'm saying? So even like I said, even if they do a 5-year deal, and the language that we have that we normally use because we like to offer the long-term deals, but the first 3 years, the money is guaranteed and it totals up to that number that he wants, 80 million, 75 million. I know we think it's astronomical, but we shouldn't care. Like I don't care. I like guys, without Deebo, there was no NFC championship. I can't make that more clear. So just imagine if he's not on this team next year. We can't scream that we're going to go to the NFC championship or even the playoffs if we don't have the best player. Now, that doesn't mean that the other players aren't going to go out there and develop and have a good rapport with Trey and whatever, but you're also removing the best weapon from your team. That's going to be crucial to replace.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair argument. I mean, at least in this day and age in the NFL, right, you have a lot of players looking to try and get that money up front, right? Everyone wants their money up front, be it a signing bonus or the guarantees, right? Even players, let's just look at the receiving market this year, right? Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill is getting all that money up front, right? It's a good deal for both the team and the player because Tyreek Hill gets 75 million guaranteed in a way that, or not guaranteed necessarily, but I think it's 72.5 guaranteed in that first 3 years or first 3 to 4 years. Ends up being a 4-year, $95 million deal in total. So why is that good for the player? Obviously, you get that huge amount of money guaranteed up front, which means you are financially secure. Why is it good for the team? Because they can structure it in a way where Tyreek Hill's cap hit in that 5th year of his deal is $50 million, but he's not going to see that money. They'll either rework the deal if he's still playing at a high level, or they move on in that case. Devontae Adams, similarly, right? It's a 3-year, $67.5 million deal, essentially. 65 million of it is guaranteed. I know the signing bonus is different, but 65 million of it is essentially guaranteed. Why is that the case? He's an older receiver. He wants the money up front so that he can get it. And it's you want your money so that there's not a chance that you lose that money, right?
Correct.
You don't necessarily, and also like not only I don't think it hurts to have your money up front. Like I understand, like a lot of people will talk about financial security, but you're getting the money regardless. So having it up front doesn't hurt you. It actually definitely helps you because if you're playing at a high level after that money is given to you, guess what happens? You then you not only have the chance to make that money, which you do, you also have the chance to make another contract, which just increases the amount of money going into your pocket.
Yeah. Look, this is going to get crazy. We got 9 days. Listen, here's the good news. If Deebo isn't traded in 9 days, he will be a 49er.
49er. That's what I want. That's what I want.
That's what I want too. I don't want to trade Deebo. I have to look at it from two perspectives, right? Two sides. I look at it from the 49er side and I say, listen, the 49ers have to do what they feel is best for their organization. They might want Deebo, but Deebo might want something that they can't cash, right? And so they're going to find a way to come out on top. They did this with DeForest Buckner, and I know a lot of people are saying, why are we worried? We shouldn't be worried, blah, blah, blah. The only reason why I'm worried, just a little bit, like an inkling of a bit, is because I watched one of my favorite players get traded for a business move because they didn't want to give him a couple of extra millions of the dollars in the thing to make him a high-paid defensive tackle because they felt like they can get more on a bargain deal with Arik Armstead, and they made him the guy because they felt like he can line up where? Inside and outside. The 49ers like that. Well, there's no one in the NFL, in my opinion, on the offensive side of football that's more versatile than a Deebo Samuel. So I hope that the 49ers use that same principle for versatility and they find a way to make this guy a deal. Because in 9 days,
if
he's not traded,
I mean,
we're good.
Like, I personally still don't believe he'll get traded just because, like, I mean, the 49ers, they want value. At least, like, when we're, let's talk about it business-wise, because we've been talking about it player-wise. Just real quick, from the 49ers perspective, in terms of trading Deebo Samuel, what do they do with Jimmy Garoppolo? They were stubborn, right? They're not moving him unless they get the value that they require.
They are stubborn, bro. That's a good point.
Deebo Samuel is a one-of-a-kind type of player. I don't think that they move him without, like, I'm sure they have a set value. And like, let's be honest, there have been offers coming in. The reports have already come true. Jets have given an offer, significant capital. Ravens have given an offer, significant capital. They've rejected both of them.
What was the Jets offer? Do you know off the top?
I don't think it's going to be revealed. It'll be very similar to the Tyreek Hill trade. 35, 38 would probably be the baseline of the package. It'll probably include a little more than that in a way, because obviously when one deal happens, the next deal will be a little more. So it'll be 35, 38, 69, and probably some other pick, maybe in 2023 or something like that. But it probably wouldn't include pick 10. That's the one thing. And the 49ers, at least if it's the Jets, they're going to want one of those top 10 picks. They're definitely going to want one of those top 10 picks. It's just that doesn't seem like it'll happen, which is why I'm optimistic that a Samuel deal with the 49ers ends up happening.
See, I like that, but see, I would think differently if I was John Lynch. I wouldn't care about the top 10 pick. Because I would say, listen, you want Deebo Samuel, cool. You got Denzel Mims, you got Tariq Black, you got the older dude, Corey, what's his name?
Corey Davis.
Yes.
Elijah Moore and Corey Davis, yeah.
Corey Davis, right? Give me Elijah Moore, give me a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick or whatever. Give me Elijah Moore, you can have Deebo Samuel. Now,
really?
A lot of people would say, well, you didn't get a 1st round pick. On the contrary, move rare, because Elijah Moore was a 1st round pick. And so you would be getting a 1st round pick. So you would still have flipped Deebo into a 1st round pick. And then you can probably get a 3rd, maybe even a 2nd. You could try. They got a lower state. It's too low though. It's too low of a 2nd. So you might have to ask.
That's where the bargaining kind of part comes in, right?
Right. That's where I would start. But think about what I'm saying. I know Deebo is the best probably weapon in the NFL. But Elijah Moore, 49ers haven't had a slot guy since. If they can get Elijah Moore in the slot, 4.34 speed. Why do I know? Because I wanted to draft him so bad last year. Like, this was the guy that I wanted on this team somehow, some way. And I thought we would trade back up and get him. And guess who we traded back up to get? Right. So all I'm saying is you can get Elijah Moore in this deal. Yeah. I might have to pull the trigger on that, broski. I might. I don't care about the 1st round pick because you're getting a 1st round pick. He's not just a slot guy, but he can play in the slot because of his quicks. Yes, he can play all 3 positions, X, Y, and Z. Line him up in the backfield too if you got to. He's quick. He's fast.
Right. The one pushback I'll say, Elijah Moore is somewhat as proven receiver as you'll get for that type of value, right? Because, I prefer Elijah Moore over Hollywood Brown, right? Because you have to take value and potential. The one thing is how much, at least from the 49ers side, how much potential can you get? Because when you want to win right now, potential is important, but potential also is a little bit of a, it's important, but it's not the main priority in a way when you're trying to win.
Okay. Look, I don't want to trade Deebo Samuel because he's proven. I think Elijah Moore has proven himself on an inferior team. I can't imagine what he would do with a superior team, like a run game, good pass blockers, a good wide receiver room. I can't even imagine what he's going to do his next year in the NFL. I can't. I don't think the Jets are there yet, but I think the Jets want a guy that's more proven than Elijah Moore. And I think if you bring in a Deebo has taken the realms of the veteran in the room, right? So he kind of gives you that Emmanuel Sanders vibe. I can kind of school guys and do this and take these young guys, put them up under my wing. I can see Deebo doing that. Plus, the Jets got all the money in the world, and Deebo Samuel will probably.
I can see it from the Jet side. Side.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, the one thing is, where does the leadership for the 49ers go? Because you're right. Deebo Samuel could take the Emmanuel Sanders role, but
this is the 3rd year.
Isn't that his current role right now?
You don't think Brandon Ayuk is taking a leadership role right now, getting all those young wide receivers out there to work with Trey Lance? He got all of them, too. The only wide receiver missing was Deebo Samuel. Just think about that. That's Brandon Ayuk. Hey, Jawan. He had Jawan Jennings out there, and Jawan Jennings didn't even sign his freaking tender until today. Let's talk. Come on. He had them all out there. Ray, Connor Weddington, guys that probably won't even make the squad was out there working with Trey Lance. That's a leader. That's a guy. And I think Brandon Ayuk has some high upside. Now, he's not Deebo, but I think this is the year of the Ayuk. I hate to say it because I still want Deebo here.
I think he should eclipse 1,000 for sure this year.
Ooh, I love it.
Because when you look at it, just look at the last 2 years, right? Ayuk in 11 games, or he played 12 games in his rookie year, 748 yards, which would have put him on pace for 1,000 if he played a full season.
Yes.
And in his sophomore season, or last year, he eclipsed that, right? 826 yards. And that was after a very slow start. He only really started moving up when he got 4 catches for 45 yards in the Chicago game. And from that game on, he averaged 66 yards per game, which would have put him on pace for 1,128 yards over a 17-game season, which means, yeah, I mean, when you expect like that type of volume, even Ayuk wasn't getting that much volume, like to compare in comparison of what he should be getting. So yeah, you expect at least 1,000 yards from Brandon Ayuk in this season, with at least what you expect to be a more prolific passing offense with Trey Lance.
Sounds like a plan, bro. Plan A, get Deebo signed. Plan B, find a way to trade Deebo. Plan C, figure out how to make all this work. If nothing, how do you get Deebo to play on his rookie contract? That would be Plan C. How to get him to play on his rookie deal and still everybody
that would just be, man. If the 49ers make it, I can understand it from not really, because it's ruining the culture. Not really. But how are you going to do a guy like that? A guy that broke NFL records last year. I don't
know.
You got to do right by him. And then if you're not going to extend him and then don't trade him by the draft, what the heck are you doing then?
That's what I'm saying.
Unless you trade him for multiple proven players, because you can't improve in 2022 if you're trading him after the draft, right? You can at least in terms of draft capital. And the thing is, you're not going to necessarily let's say we're talking about the Jets, right? And the Jets draft someone at 35 and the Jets draft someone at 38. Those players aren't as valuable as the pick itself because we have a different draft board than the Jets.
Correct.
So if the 49ers really want to swing a trade and that's they're dead set on a trade, you've got to do it by the draft, which is why I think we're going to get a lot of, at least me personally, since I don't believe that's happening, I think we get a lot of clearance once the draft ends because Deebo Samuel should be on the roster following the draft.
I agree. And I believe
hey, Wayne, it's been a great show. To end it, we got a super chat from George here. Cousin Breezie, I'm loving the content. Thank you. Make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel, Wayne Breezie. You guys know how it be. He is one of the best content creators here on 49ers Nation. Nitty gritty Niners every week. He's got a ton of content coming today. Wayne, before you hop off, just tell us what your what's up for the rest of the day, your program, and I'll let you go.
Cool. All right, brother. Listen, first and foremost, please like and subscribe to this channel right here. Make sure you subscribe to my man Rohan's channel. He is doing a tremendous job with this podcast. Dude, I can't keep up with your writing, so I just read it, and then I'd be like, that's a good one. Too bad I couldn't write something like that. You know what I'm saying? But keep up the content. Keep doing what you're doing on Twitter. Put your takes out there. You're doing a tremendous job, and I know everybody out here is giving you a round of applause. Shout out to my brother, 49ers George, man, 365. Thank you for that contribution. Listen, tonight I'm about to be on with John Chapman. So once Rohan is done with this show, join the John Chapman, the 49ers Rush podcast. Jump on over there at 7:30. We're going to be on there. Then I got nothing but Niners. We're probably going to be doing some fantasy stuff. And then I'm waiting to confirm with my man, Jesse from Last Second Sports. So hopefully we'll be on tonight at 10:30. It's all content creating today. And I'll probably take a break at some point tomorrow. But it's my week off. So I'm going to go
take that break.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Then I guess don't take that break.
No, sure I'm going hard. But I mean, because next week I'll be at the draft. I'll be in the draft next week. So I probably won't be able to content create like I want, but I'm definitely going live from Vegas.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Guys, we'll be back next Tuesday with Tuesdays with